Symmetra finally gets buffed, ladies and gentlemen, and Reaper gets a nerf. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. I am Stylosa. Okay, let's talk about Symmetra first, because there's a bit of confusion here. So, Jeff Goodman yesterday, in fact, if you guys watched the video I put out on the channel yesterday, I did say that Symmetra is going to get a buff. Jeff Goodman did say this will be in the next PTR patch, which is of course live right now. However, they haven't actually added this to the patch notes, but I can confirm this is in the game. They've just forgot to do it. Symmetra does have the 20% faster damage ramp up speed on the arc welder. So the primary fire now charges up 20% faster. Now, here's the real crazy thing. All right, check this out. So, one of the Overwatch developers, Joshua No, he says, yeah, the primary fire damage rate has been at this value since her rework. I just checked the rework from the forum post, though, and it does say the incorrect 60, 120, and 180 values. Now, what am I talking about here? Well, this is the Symmetra rework when she got, when she was recently reworked. Well, the last Symmetra rework, let's call it. So we thought her damage was 60, 120, and 180. But actually, it's not. Her damage is, in fact, 65, 130, and 195. That's essentially Zarya levels of damage when charged. So we have been sleeping on Symmetra for a very long time here. Her charged beam was actually a Zarya fully charged beam. That's crazy when you think about it, which means that Symmetra, could she have been a viable DPS all of this time, but we actually didn't know because we just thought she had bad damage when really she was doing a lot more damage. But here's the other kicker. Because of this arc welder buff now, she is charging up this primary fire 20% faster. So no longer is she slow at charging this up. This means her primary fire finally, I believe, becomes viable. This Symmetra we've got right now on live, you tend to, you might use your primary fire sometimes, but you're probably spamming your alternate fire out and you're using your sentry turrets, right? Sometimes you would use primary fire, like to burn down barriers, for example, because you get your ammunition back, but maybe not that often. But I've got to be honest, I've not really been playing Symmetra that much because, well, I just don't really play that much Symmetra. This, though, means that we've got a viable buff here to Symmetra, and I think what we're looking at is a hero who is going to do considerably more damage than she has ever done. Yes, her damage figures have been 65, 130, and 195 for fully charged since she was reworked, but now we're only getting confirmation of that. But the big thing here is it's 20% faster to charge up to that 195 damage output. That is ridiculous. That means Symmetra, don't sleep on her, guys. She's going to probably be pretty damn good. Also, somebody asked Jeff on the forums, just wondering, does the Overwatch team have any Symmetra mains? Now, this might be a weird question. You might be like, why are they asking this? The thing is, though, Symmetra has not really been, like, she doesn't really get that much love, to be honest. I know she's had 2 hero reworks, but she's kind of in a weird place, and yeah, it's nice to see her finally getting some love. So honestly, this is a bit of a valid question, but Jeff responded with, regarding the Symmetra main question, our live ops producer has 700 hours on her. Good God, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so just keeping on Jeff for a little bit longer here. Now, you guys know the video I made with Jeff where we spoke about role queue in great detail. We spoke about things like individual SR for roles. We spoke about a 2-2-2 forced meta and all of that stuff. And from what Jeff was saying, it sounds like these guys are working on it, and this might be something which comes into the game at some point. However, people have asked, like, in a bit more detail on the forums, Jeff, can you clarify some things? So it actually has. So I'm going to read these off really quickly because they're quotes. I don't want to just ad-lib them and flub my way through them. I'll straight up read them off. So on a role queue compromise, Jeff says this. Thanks for the suggestion. It's actually one we've debated on the team. One concern we have is anytime we, the Overwatch team, make assumptions about what you want to do without giving you some agency in the situation, our concern is we believe there are a number of players who want or like to play different roles because they are thinking of the good of the team. They flex to needed roles. A player like this, under your design suggestion, is going to end up always having to play tank or support. We really want to avoid design solutions that further reinforce players being forced to play roles they don't need to. I hope this explanation makes sense. To use myself as an example, by your suggestion, I am a tank main because most of my playtime is on tanks, but I really love playing healers and damage heroes as well. I would be worried if the game just assumed I should be playing tank all the time, because I did it so much previously, mostly to be a good teammate, not because that's what I wanted to do. I hope that makes sense. And I think it does. I mean, we went over that in the interview, and I think that does make sense. However, there's a little bit more. So regarding role queue, have you and your team considered separate role SRs, right? Okay, now this is a question I asked Jeff, and Jeff straight up said yeah, and said they would do it. But Jeff again is saying yeah, and we would do it. So he says this: if we did role queue, we would do separate SRs. This is one of the things I think would be really fun, plus make the game way more balanced and improve matchmaking. So I don't know, like I don't know whether I'm just, you know, I feel like when I spoke to Jeff, yes, we were speaking about Baptiste, but also we did speak in great detail about role queue 222, individual SR for roles and all of that stuff. I feel like they're definitely working on this, and this is something we'll probably have at some point, given how much noise they're making about it now, which, I think they are positive things for the game, but we'll have to wait and see where that goes. But I think it's, it could be a super cool time for Overwatch coming up. All right, so a little bit of disappointment. The video yesterday, I showed D.Va's bomb being rapidly accelerated, literally turning it into an intercontinental ballistic nuclear missile, ladies and gentlemen. But now you no longer can do this. So what would happen is, if you cast D.Va's bomb, so you press Q, D.Va jumps out of it, and then the bomb flies forward. If Lucio speed boosted at that time, the mech would get the speed boost and would fly at a literal speed of light, and it would it'd be impossible to dodge. So they've said this is a bug, and this has been fixed. So fixed the bug that made D.Va not get knocked back properly by Doomfist Rocket Punch. They also fixed the bug which relates to the interaction with Lucio. So yeah, no longer works anymore, which is unlucky. Okay, just to quickly touch on the other stuff. So Junkrat gets a buff. He just does more damage, and it's actually quite a lot more damage Junkrat does. Probably be something I might look at in a different video. We'll have to wait and see about that. But Junkrat just does more damage now, which is really good. McCree, with his Deadeye, he does a lot more damage. It's up from 275 to 550. Again, I know I covered this in yesterday's video, but I just want to throw this out there again. I think McCree, his ultimate right now is pretty ridiculous. There's definitely going to be a video on McCree very shortly off me, so stay tuned for that. They did nerf his fan the hammer though, which is like, okay. But the next big thing I want to talk about in this video is Reaper, because Reaper has been nerfed. So healing received from dealing damage reduced from 50 to 40%. And the dev comments on this are: a recent change that increased Reaper's healing while he dealt damage was a bit too strong, sometimes making opponents feel like Reaper was unstoppable. This is an absolutely beautiful change. Now, the reason why this is so good is Reaper was absolutely terrorizing the hell out of a lot of ranks in this game. He was very oppressive, super oppressive, mega unstoppable. Like the dev comment said, Reaper was unstoppable. He was, because he could just do whatever he liked. He could walk around in the middle of team fights. He could farm people. He could just kill people. Nobody could stop him. It would take concentrated fire to take him out. And only once you started getting higher up the ladder did he actually start getting countered, and players were playing around his abilities. Because if you think of Reaper, he could go in, empty a full clip, enter Wraith form, come straight back out of it with another full clip, and then start firing again while healing himself a crazy amount. He was literally unstoppable. So this nerf is a step in the right direction. The problem the devs have got with Reaper is they see him as the answer to killing tanks. Reaper is the anti-tank guy. He needs to be in there point blank range doing massive damage, but also let's give him sustain, because if he's point blank with the tanks, he's going to be taking damage himself. Reinhardt's going to be swinging. There's going to be loads of other damage coming in from other sources, so he has to be able to sustain himself. The problem is he was a bit too good at a lot of tiers of the game. Now, I don't want to just like write this off as like, oh well, whatever, get good guys, just shoot Reaper. If you see Reaper, why aren't you shooting him? Like, how is he just killing you? It's not that simple. Reaper just had massive sustain. He could walk into a fight, do tons of damage, never die, and everybody's dead. And I honestly believe this was a major problem in all of the ranks up to, honestly, Master. And then probably even in Masters to some extent. You know, I've had games where Reapers have just been unstoppable on the enemy team, and it's frustrating because you're thinking, guys, why can't we deal with the Reaper? But surely if the Reaper is that strong, it might not be just because he's a good player. It's because, well, Reaper is a bit good. But I know this has been a massively hot topic with the community. They wanted to see Reaper get nerfed because he was way too oppressive. And like I said, Blizzard said he was unstoppable, so they've taken action against him, which is good. All right, guys, there's a lot of stuff in this video, but the big takeaways are Symmetra is buffed, Reaper is nerfed, and then there's a lot of other bits and pieces that are going on. This is honestly one of the most comprehensive PTR patches we have seen. There are so many changes. it looks like almost all of them are taking heroes in directions we want them to be taken in. There is a bit of debate with Lucio, because Lucio is a little bit of a strange one. He's better at some things and not as good as other stuff. So he's amping up. The speed boost amplification has been reduced from 70 to 50%. Crossfade speed boost effect reduced from 30 to 20. Sonic amplifier now counts towards offensive assists. And with the knockback changes, you can Sonic amplify away things like Diva bombs, things like flying mercies. When they're trying to res, you can boot them around, which actually is a buff. And his wall speed ride his wall ride speed has been increased from 20 to 40%. So he's kind of like, well, I guess you can be more of a Reddit Lucio now. I don't know, it's weird. All right, guys. I've been Stylosa and this is Unit Lost. This has been another look at the changes that are now live on the PTR. Get stuck in and let me know what you think. Are Blizzard taking the game in the right direction? Hopefully they are, but only time will tell. I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. Toodaloo.